Hello and welcome to the second episode of the Pro Crastinators Podcast. PCP, happy to have you with us. I'm the best guy ever guy with my team of esteemed internet individuals. Everybody, let's hear who you are.
I'm Ben Saint, and I draw comics. Go be my patron, patreon.com/Ben Saint. Next.
I'm Digibro. I make the anime videos. You know the ones.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Hypocrite. I make the video games. No, I don't. I make the reviews of them. And
Well,
there
same
they are
thing.
on the screen. I'm forcing somebody to edit.
I'm not doing that shit. Jesse, who are you?
I'm Endless Jess. I'm a piece of shit and I suck cocks.
Yep. Tom?
I'm Tommy Oliver, and I run a channel reviewing art gear, and I'm gonna start a comic or a thing someday.
Looking forward to that, Mage.
Wait,
I
okay.
no, go ahead.
I was Tom.
No, shut up, Ben. Mage,
fine,
go.
Fine, I will.
I am Mage, Lethal Aurora Mage, and I have no idea what I'm doing right now. I think I'm doing animatic things. Also a Let's Play of Undertale. I should get on that sometime. But yeah, that's me.
And Devu?
It doesn't, other than Mage, we're all the exact same person, so it doesn't matter. I also analyze video games.
You heard it, folks. Devu doesn't matter. All right. So today's topic is we are going to be delving into that nebulous topic dear to most of our hearts, waifus. What are they? What is their function? Do they exist? Can we reunite with them by drinking bleach? These are the questions we're going to delve into here. So if you'll indulge me, I'd like to read the Urban Dictionary definition of waifu, so that we have a baseline to start with, because defining waifu is going to be essential for this whole thing.
It's pretty much going to be the entire subject of the podcast, because we're never going to.
What is a waifu? That's true.
We're never
going
to come to an agreement. It's too.
I think we'll probably all end up in a pretty same mindset about the whole thing. It's just an issue of how we use the word. So okay.
I want to say.
Yeah.
I saw. I can't remember the name of it, but I saw a Wikipedia article on some principle, some psychological principle, where the intensity of an opinion is inversely proportional to the importance of the topic at hand.
Interesting.
Is that called
I
That
see.
sounds about right.
Are you making a commentary on the topic of this
I'm saying that
podcast?
because of that principle, this topic should get very heated indeed.
Okay, so here we go. All right. Waifu, a term coined by otaku and weeaboo alike for their 2D significant others, predominantly anime and video game characters. A waifu, in contrast to a harem, is the love between one man and his one and only waifu. You treat your waifu with the utmost respect and courtesy, and most refuse to even fap to their beloved, seeing the act as an insult to the non-existent woman they have committed themselves to. A spin-off term, husbando, followed for fujoshi, who feel similarly toward male characters, exist.
Alright, I
But
don't think
frankly, they're
anybody.
exactly
I don't
the
think
same.
I
anybody
already
uses
have-
that actual definition.
I have
that's-
multiple issues with that definition
I
already.
agree. First of all, there is nothing more sacred than the act of fapping to your waifu. That is the unification ritual.
You light your
that you have to
candles,
go through
you play some
every
music,
day.
you play some Toto, and
That's right.
it's a romantic, important thing.
Yeah.
All right.
You play those
I wanna
fat
add
jungle
to that.
beats. Okay.
I want to add to that a little history context.
Please.
This is just how I understand it, and it seems to be the common opinion among the internet of how the term waifu came into existence.
Is this gonna be boring? This is a
Why-
podcast,
no.
not
Boring.
school.
Have you in the anime series Azumanga Daioh, there's a
yes.
character, one of the teachers, who's like this weird, creepy pedophile guy, and he turns out at one point to have a beautiful wife, and no one sees it coming, and he says in English, "my wife," but of
My
course
wife.
the Japanese
I
pronunciation
just watched that
is
before we started.
"my waifu," and that is commonly considered to be the origin of the term
Yes.
waifu. That show aired in 2001, so I'm willing to believe it. I don't think the term's older than that show.
I think you're right.
So we're all
It was a
imitating
glorious day
a
for all of us.
pedophile? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, they thought he
Yes.
was a pedophile, but then he turned out to have a wife and a daughter. But
I
I
think
guess he could still
was
be a pedophile.
creepy pedophile.
Well, in anime, the lines are blurred, you know. But
they definitely are.
and we'll get into that. This whole thing. Well, okay. I guess maybe we should each describe the way that we think of the term waifu, and maybe just throw out our personal opinion on the term.
Before we go any further, I just want to
yeah.
make one last note. Tom, if you could nudge your audio volume up a little bit or sit a little closer to the mic, it would be great.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. It's a little quiet.
I will try.
Okay, why don't we just go around and everybody can say what they think a waifu is, because it's definitely not going to be exactly the same as what it is here. I guess I'll start. So to me, I view a waifu as, really, it's just my favorite female character from the show that I feel attracted to. So I kind of have a loose rule of, like, picking one waifu per show, which is, I mean, I pretty much just made that up. I don't think anyone else has this rule, but to me, that's what a waifu is. And, I'll link at the bottom. I've got, if you look at my channel banner, it's me with most of my top waifus are up there. You know, the best from each of some of my favorite shows. And I've got a whole tier list of waifus that I'll link in the description of this video if you want to go peruse it.
Jesus, Nate.
Yeah, you know, I made it for fun. I made it kind of because I wanted my channel banner to
Why do I
that.
feel like this video is secretly you wanting to promote your waifu?
I'm getting
I
this
do want to
vibe
promote
right
my
now,
waifus.
too.
It's like this
Let me-
all exists.
I'm
for
glad
the
I'm not
sake
the
of-
only one picking up on this. Not so subtle agenda.
You know, it's that's that. You're right. You're absolutely right. That's what it is. Go look at my channel banner. It's the best. A shout out to Tom's girlfriend, Cotton Candy. What is it? Cotton Candy Says. I forget the full.
Cotton
Candy Draws.
I
Yeah,
think.
Cotton Candy Draws drew my art. It's fantastic. Love it. Okay, so anyway, that's me. Who wants to go next?
I will go.
Okay.
Now, all right. I think I'm
Now
not a
Ben
person-
is the one on the other side of the fence
I'm
here.
not a person who has waifus,
Right.
or subscribes to the idea that one should have a waifu. I mean, so I'm just going by what I hear. I think my impression is that the formal definition of a waifu
Yes.
is a fictional, probably 2D character who, you know, is your surrogate girlfriend or whatever, who you
Right.
view as
No, your literal girlfriend.
Sure. But in common usage, it's used hyperbolically just to denote
Right.
any character that you have a crush on, or even just one that you like.
Right, that's
but
how I use
but
it.
like that's too wishy-washy. I'm gonna be coming at it from the perspective that a waifu is a female or a character that you are like dedicated to in some kind of romantic way.
Sure, okay, yeah.
And that's it.
I don't know.
okay.
Like define dedicated. Like,
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, a
it
lot of these
varies.
people really like this whole description where
like
you.
I have like 50 posters of Asuka in my room. I don't
Right.
believe that I'm actually married to her.
No,
Well, that might mean that she's not your textbook waifu.
Well, it's not,
you know.
it's not that you believe anything about her. It's that you view her and you like. It's about your mindset regarding her.
Well, I sort
That's
of. Well,
true.
I see it exactly like how Nate described. It's.
Yeah.
I don't believe in this weird like autistic devotion. You can only have one. I watch something or I play a game or I watch a show and it's like, well, she's the best girl in this show. She's my waifu.
Yeah. I guess we use the term synonymously with best girl. Another term.
Well, that's the thing, though, and I don't necessarily feel this way, but to play devil's advocate a little bit, I kind of feel like the term waifu, for it to have meaning, should be more than just best girl, because we already have best girl to describe best girl.
That's true.
If you watch a show and... You know, because I've had plenty of times where I watch a show and there's not any one girl who I would consider to be like, oh man, I really love this girl. I'm going to think about her when this show is over, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, she is the best one in the show, then I think calling her my waifu would feel like way overextending, like, what she is. She's just the best girl in the show. She's not...
I've spent a
fucking
lot of my
waifu.
time in waifu threads on A, and as a result of that,
There's a lot of arguing in waifu threads on A.
there sure is. But a lot of camaraderie as well.
Yeah.
But
I would just that just describes A to me. A lot of
it's
arguing,
true.
but a lot of camaraderie as well.
those are great threads. You can find that. But just the definition in those spaces where I spent most of my life discussing anime, because not a lot of people around me loved anime the same way I did when I was growing up. Just the term took on that connotation, sort of like it was used jokingly a lot of the time,
Right.
but that really sort of sunk into my understanding of what it meant. Like, I use the term way more as a joke than I've ever used it in a serious way, just as a matter of those were the circles I tread in, and that's how the word was used. So, you know, what makes the definition of a word accurate? Is it the
mean,
way that most
I
people
don't
use it,
think-
or the way the dictionary says it?
Shouldn't we continue getting everyone's?
You're
I
absolutely
don't think
right.
we
You're
heard
absolutely
Mage
right.
or Devu or Hippos.
Okay, you're right. Whoever wants to go else next, let's hear it.
Okay.
Tom,
Well,
you go.
None of them give a shit.
No.
So.
I was gonna
We
wait
were
until
just
everyone
being
else.
polite. Yeah.
Hang on. Okay, Tom's
Hang on.
going. Let Tom go.
I think I'm pretty similar to Ben in the fact that I don't really like focus too much on waifus. Like I'm sitting here right now thinking like, do we even have a waifu? I don't even know.
Oh no, for shame.
Like-
What about rarity?
Like I don't even think that would be considered a waifu. Just like again, like best girl, sort of in that
Yeah, okay.
context. I don't know.
I don't think any of us use it like as seriously as some. I think you have to be a pretty messed up person to look at it strictly in that most rigid
Well,
the whole thing is
definition
that there's
of
a
like.
total,
I don't
there's a
necessarily
big
agree
thing
with
about that though. Like you can get like games in Japan where like they have like AR cards for the 3DS where you can go to
well, yeah,
actual
like
locations
Love
and get...
Plus. Have you guys ever seen
that's
Love
exactly
Plus?
what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know, a guy married his Love Plus.
Oh,
character.
I know.
Yeah,
I know. He's
so,
my hero.
I mean,
Tom, turn your mic up. God damn it.
is it still it's fucked up? I turned it up.
It's
I feel like
really
I'm,
quiet.
I feel
It's
like
true.
I'm talking to someone who's standing like on the complete opposite end of like a large room and is talking at a normal volume.
That's true.
It's
That's
talking
true.
into a pillow.
Well, while he's adjusting that,
Let me put forward the suggestion that maybe,
Okay.
since none of us have, the stringent definition of a waifu,
yeah,
and it's
that's only okay.
and
go
it's
on.
and it's generally agreed. It seems that like if you use it too loosely, it just becomes synonymous with best girl.
Yeah.
So maybe there's some like middle ground between
Yeah.
those two.
It's
Yeah,
definitely.
Well,
I'm gonna-
I don't know.
I
We
don't
just have
think,
to specify when we're talking about any given point. Which
For what it's
we're
worth,
talking
me and
about.
Jesse haven't actually shared our stance on what a waifu is. We've just responded to you guys' stances.
Okay,
So,
well, if you want to,
well, I don't. Okay. So, to me, a waifu is like. Like I said, it shouldn't. Like, to me, best girl is like a way exaggeration if you call it a waifu. Like, to me, a waifu has to be someone who is like. Specially appeals to me, and like there doesn't have to be one, or it doesn't have to be some like weird devotion thing, but like to me the whole point of saying that someone's a waifu is that they are like specifically appealing to me. Like it's a character who who goes beyond just being like a character I like, more so that they're a character that I'm like attracted to, not even necessarily like in a sexual way, but more in like a, like if this was a real person, then she'd be someone who I'd have a crush on,
I very
something
much
to that
ag-
effect.
I agree with that. That's a good articulation of basically how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're talking about the Elder tier on my waifu tier list. Everyone
Right.
go check it out. It's
that's the thing, like
I'm just plugging that.
it's fucking stupid.
You're stupid. Everyone love my waifus. Appreciate that.
Yeah, like I think to me, like I can usually tell a waifu pretty quickly because it's more like of an aesthetic and personality thing than it is like like I love the character for being a good character. You
Right.
know, like if I said say Yukino Miyazawa from Karekano, like
Yeah,
is a
yeah.
is a great character, but not my type at all. Like I could never see myself, dating her or something like that. Like she is one of my favorite characters in fiction in terms of like how she's written and how her character develops. But
Yeah.
like then I've got Tsukuyomi Sensei from Index, who
Right,
is
right.
a fucking side character who has nothing to do with the plot, but like she's just this like 38-year-old alcoholic smoking tiny like 38-inch tall pink-haired monster and I just love her, like it's just a matter of like I look at her and I'm like, yeah, she's the best, and that's more waifu to me. Like I don't give a fuck about her character. I care about her more as like something in my head, something like beyond the pages of the show. It's the version of her that I've imagined is the one that I like, and that's more waifu to me.
So is it like a character who appeals to you specifically in a like romantic or sexual or that kind of way?
Yeah, I don't know if it has to be sexual or romantic so much as it is that it's like something like it's you appreciate them more than their place in the work.
Well, let me ask you something. Is it necessarily a prerequisite I'm not sure if you stand by this, but it seemed like it was in there somewhere, that, like, you think that they'd be necessarily compatible with you if they were real. Because my top waifu of all time, by my standard, is Nico Robin from One Piece, and she is like when you meet her, she's a 28-year-old assassin who's, like, worked all over the world, like, killing people, and has been chased by the government her whole life. I don't really think we'd have a lot to talk about. I don't think there's much, I
don't think that should
relatability
matter.
there. It's just... I appreciate the character
I
so much and find her so attractive.
I think in life you often find yourself having a crush on a girl and being in love with her in spite of the fact that you could never be together. That she would never be into you, that you would never have a thing. Some of my waifus are ones who very much I'm like for instance, the girl from I Can't Understand What My Husband Is Saying.
Right.
The main appeal of that show to me is that the main character is so much like me, and the main and his wife is like the like everything I would ever want out of a girlfriend.
Any girl that you marry will probably become exactly like her, even if she doesn't start out that way.
She is what I would want to marry, and that's like why the show is intriguing to me, because it's like I'm watching what would be the ideal relationship for me in my mind. I don't know if it would really be like that, but in my mind she's the perfect waifu. But like but another character who I consider a waifu is Tsunemori Akane from Psycho Pass, and that's more of like an admiration thing where like I don't really think we'd be compatible, but I'd love to live in a world where we were,
Sure.
Because I admire her personality and her ethics and the way she carries herself and everything. And like, I think if I lived in that world, I would be like her dumbass hanger-on guy. The guy who follows her around and wishes he could get with her, but can't actually approach her.
Let's get Mage and Hippo's input.
Yeah, let's do that. And Devuz.
Did you first?
Mage.
Well, me?
Yeah.
Okay, no, Gibbon first. He's already talking. Yeah.
All right, well, the term waifu is inherently silly to me, so I'd never really use it in a serious sense. But I do embrace a lot of silly things and just roll with it. Like I don't know, that's just something about fuck it.
So who's your wife? So just get to the good part, Hippo. Who's your waifu?
They all seem to be similar sort of characters, the sort of borderline tsundere, the bitches usually. The bitches, there's Riska from Homestuck, there's Undyne from Undertale, Pacifica Northwest, Diamond Tiara, some other ones.
Oh, I didn't know you liked Pacifica that much.
Yeah, she's cute. I like her. She's underage, but you know what? I'm willing to wait.
All bets are off. Yeah, you're willing to wait. He's a good man, folks. Get out there and date him.
But the thing I was
Ben gets it.
going around in my head
Uh-huh.
was I don't know whether that is actually like that. I like that character all the time in fiction. I always gravitate toward that character. I don't know whether that character is something I would actually like in real life, or that would be good for me in real life. Mm-hmm. But
like to be around a Diamond Tiara might be a total pain and suck in general.
Yeah.
But the potential of breaking through and like, you know, that's the appeal of the tsundere, like getting to the gooey dere in the center, the crispy delicious part.
Yeah,
that's what you look for.
It turns romance into like a
battlefield.
sport. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Like you're trying to, win at romance with the girl, and it provides a challenge. It's like the Dark Souls of romances.
Yeah, that's someone should
and
draw
I
a picture
like
of
Dark
that.
Souls, so you know.
He sure
sense.
does. All right, Mage, if you're done, Gib,
Who's your
let's
Dark
hear.
Souls waifu, Hippo?
Maiden Estrella.
I
gotta be
forget.
her.
The one of the spider ladies, the big one. No, the
Nice.
one,
The
Yes.
sad one, the fair lady,
Yes.
the fair lady.
Yeah.
Fair Lady. What a great choice.
Fair Lady's fucking hot.
Yeah, she is hot. Maiden Estrella's best girl though. Okay, Mage, let's hear what you have to
Okay,
say.
well, first off, I'd like to say that I use the term waifu for male characters most of the time because husbando is a bother to say, and waifu just
fair.
sounds cuter.
True.
I completely agree.
I don't usually like, well, I never use it like super seriously, but I use it on certain characters that may not necessarily be like my favorite or I think the best written characters in the show, but I just sometimes like a character really resonates with you. I want to see more of them, or I really like the way the fans just interpret it. It's kind of hard to explain. Like, they're on a different level than just the best character. For instance, let's say in Undertale, my favorite character is Metaton, but I consider Papyrus my waifu because he's just adorable.
Okay, cool.
And
How did you feel when he rejected you?
I was sad.
Sounds appropriate.
Friend zone.
I've made it all the way to the friend zone in just one day. All right.
Yes.
That was a great line.
Yes, I love Papyrus. He is just such a precious cinnamon roll.
Agreed.
But yeah, I don't necessarily like ship myself or like I wouldn't want to see fan art of myself with my wife or anything. I don't do it in that sort of way. I like them as a character, and I want to like just on a different tier than just the best character. It's my favorite character. Just. Do
you feel any sensation of like you wish that you could be with them at all? Because I mean, I kind of feel that because mine are all hot sluts. So obviously, that's what I'm into.
I wish they existed.
Dare you say that about Nico Robin?
Well, I use the term in a in the most endearing way possible.
I'm sorry,
Nico Robin is in no way a slut. She's a pure waifu.
I totally
even
just
though she literally
Mage.
says the line, "I am 16, I will do anything." She says that, but not a slut. She's pure.
Mage,
sorry,
I'm sorry,
Mage.
I bulldozed you.
That's fine. To answer your question, though, no, I don't think so. Like a lot of the characters that I really like.
You don't want to get boned by Papyrus? Oh, nailed it!
God damn! Oh God!
It's all over now.
Don't die on his chest.
Oh, no.
But no, it's like, gosh, I lost my train of thought. Gosh darn me.
That must be how Papyrus feels around Sans.
Oh yeah, there we go. I remembered.
Right.
I like them. They're very interesting characters, and they're interesting to sort of watch and really interact with if it's a game or something. But I think they would be very tiring. At least a lot of the people I would call waifus, they would be very tiring and just taxing in a relationship. I'd probably not. I mean, I'm already in a happy relationship, so I'm good.
Well, right, but this is all speculatory.
Yeah. I wouldn't probably I don't see myself with my waifus. That
okay,
makes
that's
sense.
interesting.
I guess the moral of this podcast is that we all pretty much agree, and none of us take it that seriously. And I guess that's it.
That's true. Wait, hang on. Maybe Devu takes it super seriously.
Oh man, we haven't heard from Devu yet. Devu, bring this home.
Tom.
Bring this home, guy. He's gone. He's dead.
He's dead. Fictional female character who I love.
Okay, so he agrees with all of us basically in our definition.
Am I just like a whole second or so delayed?
I guess a little bit.
Wait, am I just like delayed or something? I guess everyone's
yes.
delayed. Any fictional
He's off
female
in outer
character who I
space.
love,
Okay.
I use as a measurement for how I think about women in real life. I'd be like, there are certain characters that excel at certain things, and then I will evaluate any woman who I know in real life and go, does she hold up as well as that in this regard?
That's an interesting standard.
That is a tool with which I can
Like,
help.
okay, so like
dangerous mindset.
my second favorite wife, who is Nono from Die Buster. Okay, she is a ancient super weapon in outer space. Can any woman live up to that standard? No. These women, man, fucking 3D women, they're shit.
I'm talking
That's
about
why 2D is the
individual
best.
aspects
I need
here.
an ancient god weapon who can save the galaxy as my wife. That's what I need.
I'm talking about individual
Right?
aspects here.
Right. Okay.
Course.
Good. I'm
I
glad.
wanna
I'm glad
say-
we agree.
I want to say that I'm really surprised to hear just how like roundly and how basically all of us don't even really see waifus romantically. Like I thought that was the whole definition.
I see
of
mine
a
pretty romantically. Well, in a sexual way.
Well, to me, it's
I
just
guess.
it's definitely. I don't see it as necessarily have anything to do with like sexual attraction or like covetous romance or anything like that. Like to me, it's just a character that I relate to a lot or really like or respond to, but it also still has to be a girl because I ain't no queer.
Of course.
But it's, yeah.
I mean, it's like, don't get me wrong. I'm sure I have fapped to all of my waifus
don't get me
countless
wrong. I'm
times.
very
Right, of
attracted
course.
to all my
It's
waifus.
not that there's no sexual attraction, but here's I was thinking about this just a moment ago.
It's an incidental attraction. I'm attracted to them because of the fact that I relate to them as characters,
Right.
anyways.
And there's plenty of, because I would fap to almost any character. They don't have to be someone who would be
Right,
my
of course
waifu
not, of course.
for that.
Sometimes the
But,
people you hate the
it's-
most are the most satisfying.
It's just
You
an
know, I was-
extra layer of like the characters that you like.
Yes.
Yeah, I was
yes.
thinking about the fact when Mage said that she wouldn't necessarily want like fan art of her with her waifus, and I was thinking about how me and Hippo
our
and
channel
Nate-
banners.
Yeah, all three of us have like waifu pictures, and it started with Hippo. He got like he commissioned an artist to draw himself surrounded by his 3 waifus, and
Yeah.
they're just kind of like, because it's like pony version of him, and they're just kind of like petting him, right?
Yeah.
And it's mostly just really cute and saccharine. And
Mm-hmm.
then like I got mine done, and it's me hanging out with my waifus in a bar, just getting
Yep.
drunk.
Yep.
And yours,
Mine
there's
is
some
god worship,
Yours
basically.
has some implied like maybe, I don't know necessarily sexuality, but it's more like you own them, or like you just have like,
That's
here is
true.
what I have access to.
They're basically
you
being
know?
treated like commodities.
Well, I
in that
do. I
picture.
do definitely own my waifus. If anyone else shares them, a waifu with me, then they do not count. She's
now
only
hang on.
mine.
That's an interesting topic, Digi. The way that we clearly, think about
Yeah.
them in at least slightly different ways or represent them, our relationship to them.
It's not the differences that were interesting me so much as the similarity that none
Yeah.
of them are romantic or sexual. It's
That's
all
true.
just us with our wife, like surrounded by them, and it's
Right.
less of like,
Well, I
like
mean,
it doesn't feel like any of us are implying that we actually ship ourselves with our waifus. It's more like we want to.
Yeah.
We're portraying ourselves in a situation in which we're surrounded on all sides by women that we
and
love. from
each of
fiction.
them in a different way conveys the sort of thing that we kind of want to get from them. Like Gibbons is kind of showing like he wants comfort from them, or like
showered with
just that
chime
sort
in
of
there.
thing.
See, I have an
Yeah.
unfinished drawing that has been sitting on my desktop for like a month.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That Gibbon requested from me, and it's him with Marceline, Vriska, and Undyne.
Yeah.
And he specifically asked for them. Well,
Are they bullying him?
They're belittling me.
I know it.
It eventually, like, as I was making it, we eventually decided on, okay, we'll depict them all, like, bullying him. But the way I did it, like,
Interesting.
wasn't mean enough, and he said it wasn't mean enough.
That's very interesting. That's very
Now,
interesting.
are you
Delving
like?
into Gibbon's psyche.
I was gonna say we're
Hippo,
learning
are
a lot
you,
about
like,
Given right now.
Yep.
Are you
yep.
sexually into like are you a masochist, or do you just think it's funny?
I think it's funny. I don't actually know whether I'm into that. I just thought it was because like I'm
Right.
because like all
Right.
that they all represent like something that I want to be. I want to be really confident and cool like them. But they're also women, so I like them sexually.
Uh-huh.
So it's like they're my waifus for that reason. But
Yeah.
Okay.
the
That
idea
sounds
of them,
basically like how I feel about Akane from.
like I'm imagining
Psychopaths.
like if I was there with them, that's what they would be doing to me anyway. Like so. It's,
Okay. Oh, but
Not
positive
bullying me,
thinking
like-
is important.
no, but I don't know. I thought it was funny.
Well, I'm sure it is funny. It's just
Right.
interesting to know.
I just think it's interesting that that none of us, that like we easily could, if we wanted to,
Hmm.
have an artist draw us, like in a romantic situation with a character,
Of course.
or a sexual situation with a character, and all of us instead wanted just just surround like it's like the image itself is suggesting that it's not that serious.
Of
It's
course,
just like
yeah.
here's some anime
could-
characters I like, and haha, my avatar's with
Yeah.
them.
Right. Yep.
It almost
I
seems
literally
like
could
there's
draw myself with any character I want because I have the power. But
Yeah.
I
You
don't.
You do like to?
No, I
She's saying
could.
She could.
Oh,
but
right,
She
right.
hasn't
It's
chosen
like,
to
but
do
yeah,
so.
I'm one of the people who doesn't
Yeah.
have.
And I
the
think that
thing.
shows
Yeah.
our prevailing.
So, in a way,
attitude.
it
I
almost
feel like-
seems kind of like childish and lame to me to want to draw yourself fucking a character that you like.
Yeah, I sort of agree on that front.
Well, fucking is one thing, and then there's like you like talking to them and blushing or something.
Yeah,
It's-
that's-
it-
yeah.
When I see
I
someone,
think I'd
draw
rather
their,
have the fucking
when
personally.
I see someone draw their OC like flirting with the character, it's really bizarre.
Yeah.
And I'm not into it.
Like
That's
having a
basically
real
what,
relationship with them.
like,
That's
like
you know.
that's kind of what I was like. I wouldn't have been flirting with them, but like I don't like the idea, like when you break the characters, like what they're like, in order to make them.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah,
true.
right.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So in
yeah.
reality, they would like toss me around.
I
And laugh at
wonder
me.
if that makes us if that like because on the one hand I'm thinking that okay, obviously we're all coming to the same conclusion because we're all pretty normal. None of us are like really psychologically fringe people who
Yeah.
would literally be talking to their computer monitor and like having fucking tulpas of our characters and shit like that. Like
Tulpas?
Oh, tell her what a tulpa is, Digi.
a tulpa is where you
The tulpa majora is a part of a woman's anatomy.
the best way to describe a tulpa is like the adult advanced version of an imaginary friend.
Yeah.
It's where you construct a character to the point that you believe that they are real and you interact with them as though they were not a part of your own psyche.
I think the key to making this podcast good is that we all need to get a lot more honest.
Or at least a lot more
I'm
weird.
afraid to get honest. I have demons in my
I just
brain.
want to say that I learned what a tulpa was. I think I came to learn about it through your like hypnosis video.
Yeah, my
that
hypnosis
you did.
video.
I think I did too.
Yeah, because I made that video, and that's how I learned about tulpas, was that I made the hypnosis video, and I got a ton of comments about them. And I was like, what the fuck are tulpas? And then I did a bunch of research on it, and I was like, oh. And I mean, I think they're really interesting as a concept. The problem is, because I even went out of my way to like try to do a tulpa thing, and I was just like, I can't because I'm too connected to reality.
Did
like,
you-
Yeah,
it's so
yeah.
clearly not a real thing that can happen.
People
you know?
believe in them in the way that they say, be careful when making a tulpa, because if you make your tulpa too strong,
Oh,
you
no.
might never be able to get rid of it. So be absolutely sure you want this character in your brain. before
My
you
attempt at
commit
making a
yourself to
tulpa
that.
went like this. I tried to imagine a character, and then the conversation I had with the character went like this. Basically, I imagined you, therefore the only knowledge you can possibly have is knowledge which I already have.
All right.
That's
And
what
they
Jesus-
went,
yeah.
they said like, oh, well, you know, that's not necessarily, like, what if that wasn't the case? If I had knowledge that you didn't have, would that not make me real, you know? And I was like, well, I mean, it's, like, if you can prove that, you know, but
Yeah.
it's not provable,
That,
so.
that
like,
reminds me of this is off topic, but I was just at like a family party for like Thanksgiving, and I was talking to my cousin and like catching up and stuff, and he was telling me about how he was doing acid one day,
Yeah.
and he started talking to a water bottle, and he's like, what
Okay.
and he was like started asking the water bottle like what to do in his life and like to find some direction, and the water bottle started giving him advice, but then he had this moment of clarity, like, wait a minute, if the water bottle's only talking to me because I'm high on drugs, then that means the answers are inside me all along.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty much that's it.
And then
He
he got
looked
like he gained like confidence, and like he went on and he got a new job and stuff.
Wow.
That's pretty
Had a
cool.
Kung
Jesse,
Fu
the
Panda
butt
moment.
chugger
So what
was
are you telling me? What you're
inside
telling me
him
is that
all
tulpas are
along.
real? Is that what you're telling me? Okay.
Telling you that water bottles can talk.
I think the
or something.
majority of people who do the tulpa thing and post about how real it is, I think they're posting that so that they can convince themselves more.
I think
But
that's a
don't
major
think-
component of
There's
it.
definitely a
Being
strong-
in a community that reinforces your crazy belief is definitely helpful
I think
to
the number of
keeping it
insane
alive.
people
Yeah.
online is a small percentage, and the people who wish they were insane online is a much larger
Yes.
percentage.
That's a
But
great-
what's
think
you know
that's
you have to
so-
ask yourself, what's the distinction there? You know, it's a fine line.
No, there's definitely a line.
So
well,
a
maybe.
tulpa is imagining sentience on an inanimate object, something like that.
No, it
No,
doesn't have to be an
No.
object. A tulpa is just something like you imagine that that a character you create in your head, you are acting as though they are real and that they exist in the world, but you're the only one who can see them and communicate with them.
Oh,
But
is
they
it
are
like the Tumblr
there.
head buddy thing?
Well,
Yes. It's kind of like a headmate.
It
only
is.
A headmate is something that you like that you just have, whereas a tulpa is something you consciously create.
is that like the symbiote for Men in Black?
I don't
Okay.
remember.
Now, hang on. We're getting a little bit off topic. I want to ask you something related more to the core issue here. Is so. Are there people who do waifu tulpas, as in specifically,
Yes,
they take a character
absolutely.
from a
I have
series
met
them.
and then you've met them, really?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
there's that guy who
okay.
carried around the giant Twilight Sparkle
Yeah,
doll.
that guy. That was
Okay.
who I
I'll
was
bet-
gonna bring
I'll
up.
bet 90% of the people at BronyCon had waifu tulpas.
I absolutely
Interesting.
believe that.
Okay.
because it is the greatest achievement in the history of autism.
I want to ask a question, though. How do you
convention.
justify to yourself that if you have a tulpa, how do you reconcile that it is the character from the show, even though you just made it up in your head? How do you say that, okay, this is that person, not just a phony recreation I made?
About that.
Okay.
That's the thing. I
this
think
is the first problem I have.
I think the issue here is that we are all very analytically minded people with
the sort of person who would make a
mindsets.
tulpa would not think that far.
Yeah,
you're probably right.
They have more important things, quote unquote,
You're
to
right.
worry
They gotta,
about.
That's
they
what I
gotta
meant.
go on a date with their tulpa. They don't have time for
That's
this.
what I meant when I was implying that like the issue here is that we're all pretty like normal. Like none of us
Right.
none of us are very like insane in that particular way.
So what you're
because I don't
saying
think
is none of us are qualified to answer this question.
Well, I don't think any of us are like. I
That's
think in order to do the job that most of us do, we have to be pretty rational thinkers who are capable of like empathizing with a broad range of people and understanding like a general like normal psychology to even be able to communicate with people through our videos.
Right.
Unless people were watching us because we're insane, like a
I think
CWC
we're able.
type
I
thing,
think our job description requires being insane, but understanding it.
On the
Yeah,
subject
maybe
of
that.
CWC, I just want to say that CWC is on record as having had conversations with Sonichu and Rosichu in which they
Really?
advised him what to do.
Interesting,
Yes.
okay.
When he went into Mary Lee Walsh's office and was berated for soliciting girlfriends with a sign on campus, he retreated. He mentally retreated from the scenario in real life to converse with Sonichu and Rosichu, who reassured him that he was doing the right thing and that Mary Lee Walsh was a villain. And the rest is history.
Have I told you, Ben, my theory that I think Kristen Wester Chandler is the main character of humanity, and when the rapture comes, we'll be judged based on how he was treated in his life. So frankly, I'm getting pretty worried. I'm getting very worried.
All right.
We burned his house down, man.
Oh shit! No, we're so
Before we go too far down the CWC road, and we're probably around halfway through this podcast, so I wanted to bring up a historical fact about waifus and another fun history lesson in waifus. So,
Cool.
We all are familiar with the anime director Hayao Miyazaki, yeah?
Of course.
Yep.
Guy who very staunchly against otaku culture
My hero,
and
my
all
hero.
modern anime. And however, in the 1960s, when he was a teenager, there was a film that came out. I don't remember the name of it right now, but it's one of the first like big influential anime films to be released. And he said that he saw it in theaters like 16 times. He kept going to see it because he was like captivated
shit.
by the main girl. And he phrased it like this. He said, "She was like a girlfriend for me at a time when I didn't have a girlfriend."
Oh shit!
What a
Miyazaki-
fucking
and
hypocrite.
He literally was inspired to make anime based on that movie.
Oh my God.
So he literally, when he was a teenager, had no girlfriend, had a waifu from a movie, went to see it over and over again to date his waifu, and then was inspired to create
That
anime.
is a fantastic segue into the question I was going to ask next, which is, okay, all of us have our relationship with waifus and that we don't take it very seriously, but can you have one and it be a healthy part of your life? And could you see yourself theoretically doing it? And more importantly, is it acceptable behavior and not acceptable, but
I
can it be
strongly
constructive?
feel that all of the greatest waifus that I've had and held dear in my heart in my life have made me a better man and a better person.
I agree.
I don't.
Okay. Well, I agree in the
I think
sense
that's
that
gay as hell.
I think the story, I mean, personally, the story of Nico Robin is something that's really touched me in my life, and I think made me reevaluate life in quite a few ways. And, I mean, Robin is an extension of that story. She's a piece of it, and, I don't think she's real or anything, but she affected me in the same way that that story did. So, like, in that's how I, like, view her now in my head as, like, the existence and the branching network of what that character did to me. So, like, in that way, she definitely affected my life. And I think made me a better person overall.
I don't think that's the same as her waifu.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just saying like a good character in fiction changed you.
I'm gonna go down this road. I think I probably know the most about the subject of waifus, having read like countless articles from people who do have like more serious waifus.
I know
and
Nate
of
has
course,
a tier list, so
well,
yeah, that's true. That's true. Everyone check it out.
Again, there was that guy who married his Love Live game.
Right.
For those who don't, not Love Live,
Love Plus.
the Nintendo DSi game. Now, keep in mind, this character, there's only 2 characters that you can date in Love Plus.
I thought there were 3, but whatever.
One of them, well, there might be 3. One of them is the really popular one who, like, a lot of people consider their waifu. She's like the tomboy character. And this guy decided he wanted to marry that character. Now, what's interesting about that to me is that the character exists beyond, in everyone's DS,
right.
But he actually left Japan to go to like a backwater country where this would be illegal, and he had a whole ceremony and married his DS character.
Yeah.
Did he marry the character?
The character.
Yeah.
I mean,
the
it's
legality
really
is
hard
weird,
to
but...
say, like, because the character is just a fucking piece of code.
How can you marry someone without their consent? I've wondered all these questions many times.
That's a very.
I mean, in the game, she does say she loves you. So is that consent to marriage?
I'm not sure, man. I really don't know. But like, with a lot of people that I've talked to who like do have waifu stuff, like generally I think the state of mind you have to be in to have a waifu is probably a state of mind where your life is not in the best condition. I think if you were in a healthy mind state and lifestyle, then this would not be something that happens to you. And like, because there have been times when I was younger where I like wanted to have the waifu and have that talking to my computer thing. Like I wanted to be crazy, like Devu said. There's a lot of people on the internet like wish they were insane, because in a way it seemed to me, looking in from the outside, like it's an escape. It's a way to make things better. You're sitting around thinking my life sucks. I want a girlfriend, and what if I could just immerse myself in this narrative where I do have a girlfriend, Yeah. And the problem is that the attempt to do that, for me at least, just is like I'm not crazy. I can't convince myself I'm crazy. Like I can't convince myself that I can do this. Like I know I'm saying crazy, which sounds like an insulting word, but like this is me coming from a place of admiration for people who can do this.
Right.
Like when I see people who like who post like them, sharing a cake with their waifu on her birthday, they'll have the picture up and they have the cake in front of their monitor and stuff. I'm always like, man, I wish I cared about anything that much.
Now hang on. Okay, I want to play devil's advocate to that point a little bit and say, isn't it possible to be of the mindset where you know that the character isn't real, but you choose to dedicate yourself to them just to, recreate that feeling of having someone special in your life, maybe because you're really lonely or, for whatever reason you want to, and by having that action that you're taking, it's giving you a sense of fulfillment. And I mean, you could, if you want to go crazy, you could use the theories of like multiverse, where like your character exists somewhere out there, in some other.
If you really do believe like
that, right?
Wait for
you realize
eighth-dimensional
that
travel
you're
to get
being
invented.
If you actually like realize that you're being like strange by doing this, but doing it anyway, I don't know how many people actually do that, but I guess there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, hang on.
Really.
I don't even want to attach the word strange to it. I personally don't do this at all, but it is, different from normal.
Okay, I'm going to say I think it could be a good thing, but you have to literally be able to, like, because you have to be able to convince yourself, right? Like I said, I went at it with the mindset of it sounds like a good thing, but I cannot convince myself to have that kind of relationship with the character because I am too sure that she's not that it's just not a thing. Like in my mind it could never be possible. So like convincing myself that I'm talking to this character or something, it's just impossible for me.
I bet even for the insane people, it's probably like
okay, well, all right.
I think Devo wanted to say something when Gib was speaking, but because Devo was a bit delayed, so let's give a moment for Devo to say something.
Oh, thank you very much. I think even insane people, probably most of them, it's like lucid dreaming in the way Maddox describes it anyway, where, I can do anything, but it's the same as just imagination. So they might imagine themselves actually having sex with their fictional character, but it probably doesn't feel any better than just fapping and thinking about it.
I mean, I've imagined myself having sex with all my waifus.
Of course.
I don't think that's the same as like, I don't think that's the same as like having a waifu. Like,
right. So the question is, does this level of insanity add a greater level of pleasure?
Hang on, you guys are throwing around the word insanity like it's yesterday's whore.
Okay. immersion. Does that level of immersion
There you go.
add a greater level of satisfaction and pleasure, or does it merely subtract self-awareness?
Well, unfortunately, none of us are really qualified to speak on that.
I'd be more than willing to believe that if you really believe it, it does make it a better experience for you.
I would be inclined to agree.
We could speculate on that all day, but frankly, I mean, I could see it almost like you guys are talking about thinking that you have a relationship, but I almost view it similar to like prayer. I mean, I don't believe in God; He doesn't exist. Get over it. But so like, how could it be?
Wait,
like
what if God is my waifu?
That's what I'm saying. God is your wife.
Actually,
This
Nate, you just
podcast on God
reminded
is a
me.
girl.
You
All I'm
reminded
saying
me
is-
of another
okay.
person I spoke to in the Brony community who we actually managed to end up having on the pub crawl once for some reason. But it was a guy who was trying to marry Twilight Sparkle.
Right.
And he had this elaborate, like, idea of the character in his head, and he would talk about like how they had a life together and how she was the best thing in his life, and like they were getting married, and she, it was clearly a sexual relationship. But here's where it was interesting, because this guy, like, he sort of got like his shit kicked in by the internet because of the fact that there was some artist who was drawing pictures of himself fucking Twilight, right?
Okay.
Like self-insert porn. And the guy who, thinks he's marrying Twilight goes into this dude's comments and goes on like a huge tirade about how, Twilight is his waifu, and he's like, pissed off that this guy is drawing himself like
Slandering her.
Slandering his wife.
Insinuating
Yeah,
adultery.
Yeah. By the time I talked to this guy, because I asked him about it, and he was saying, like, he sort of came to the conclusion in the long run that, other people's Twilights aren't the real one, but his is.
Sure. Okay. Right.
like-
I mean, that's the illusion you have to have for yourself. In
Yeah.
order
So
to
he legitimately believes that the Twilight he's marrying is the Twilight from the show. In
Is
spite
she
of the fact,
is she the one represented in the show?
All the other ones are
yes,
changelings.
the one
Okay,
from
okay.
the show is his wife.
They're changelings.
Who
but,
did I
like-
just hear cackling? Who was cackling?
That was
Deva.
Awesome.
Yeah, his is the real one. All the other ones are false. And like, but he had gotten self-assurance in that mindset. Like, he was
Of course,
yeah,
of
now that I
course.
know, now that I feel that way, I'm comfortable. And
It's
he really,
unfalsifiable.
like, on the one hand, he made it out like, like his relationship with Twilight was like what was holding his life together. But at the same time, it felt like this has to come crashing down because
I
wanna-
imagine that. Mage, go ahead.
Well, I wanted to say, like, a while ago, I think it's sort of like a bit of a double-edged sword. In a way, I can see how people can find comfort in believing that they're true and going through the motions of pretending to have one.
Yeah.
And, like, it's not necessarily a natural. I mean, we used to play pretend as children, didn't we? And,
Right.
If adults can still channel that imagination, then, all good for them. But at the same time, when they're locking themselves in this comfort box, they're kind of locking themselves out of the rest of the world. So
right.
That's a good point.
I think that even even legitimately insane. I know you guys take so much issue with that word.
I do.
Even the legitimately troubled and people that don't see reality, even the most insane among them must have moments of lucidity wherein they kind of can step back and look and say, "Oh my God, it's all a lie."
Oh my
Well,
god!
I'm not sure that I
what
would
have
agree with
done?
that. I don't really know what insanity really is like. But I mean, I wanted to say the whole reason I brought up the whole God thing was because I think
It's just
your
that they don't
waifu
post
life.
those thoughts on their Tumblrs.
Right,
So they
okay,
only post
okay.
the time of like how happy they are with their waifu. Like other times when they might be like having self doubt and like it's not real. It's not real.
Yeah.
I'm crazy. They probably don't publicize that.
Right,
denial
okay,
is a strong
okay.
thing.
I'm making
where
a
this comes
case though for it being similar to prayer in that it's sort of a state of meditation where you're reflecting on this. You do these acts, you put the cake in front of your computer screen or whatever, and it gives you some solace, some peace in this topsy-turvy world in which we live. Is it? I don't.
It's like that.
Ben has suddenly made me realize why I failed at this when I wanted to be crazy, because it does take like constant self-affirmation, and I feel like to me the failure was more interesting. Like, the fact that I couldn't do it, that was the part I would have written about and have written about. Like, I tried to be crazy and I failed. Like, and it's upsetting. I wish I was crazy. Like, I've written that post before rather than the one about how everything's fine. And, you know, yeah, I think, again, I'm taking this down to, like, we are all... I said we're normal earlier, but really we're all very analytically minded, like more so than normal people. And I think there's always a degree of delusion. Now, you brought up God earlier, and like, you know, like the majority of people in this world have deluded themselves into believing in a religion that is just some shit somebody made up, but it makes it easier.
Come on.
It makes it easier to live their life, you know, like
What do you
that's
mean,
why
Ben? Do
the
you
reason
disagree with that?
people
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
the reason people get attached to religion, and Devu was just saying this the other day as someone who is from a very religious household and community, that to him it seems like it's mostly like for comfort and denial,
Right,
like
right.
Well, and they
not
can't
being
like,
able to face the world.
in the case of
Yes.
my family, I think it's like it's like people who, if you can't deal with alcohol is now bad. If you can't deal with this, that is now a bad thing. You know, that's the way that they frame
sure.
it. And you know, I think there's a big difference between believing in at least the kind of Christianity that I know of. It's more like a story. It's more like a narrative that perfectly. Well, not perfectly, but tries to perfectly make sense with the reality that currently exists. It's like trying to retroactively impose a different story. You're not trying to say that the sights and sounds and sensations are different than what they actually are. You're just trying to recontextualize them. That's a big difference between that and people who think that their Twilight plushie is talking back to them.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
I still think that like it comes from a place of needing an escape from the world, of not being able to reconcile what you believe the world should be with what the world is. And I think that if you're an analytically
That's true. That's true.
But I think that as an analytically minded person, it's like to all of us, part of what makes the world interesting is its flaws, and like, you know, looking at, like, we're sort of staring into the abyss. Like, it's kind of our job is to like look at things and be critical of them, where you know, there's a lot of people who, you know, whenever you get that comment that's like, why can't you just enjoy things, why do you have to, you know, think about it this way? It's like, well, I don't have more value in a world that's just enjoyable all the time than I do in a world that is like what it is.
I'm far more interested with the reality than what I wish that it was.
When I write erotic
is
fiction,
anyone talking about? I don't even know.
When
what
I
the
write
hell
erotic
these guys
fiction-
are saying anymore.
We're talking about
This has
waifus,
gone
Jesse.
So
Hold
on,
off-topic.
Devu's trying to talk
so
about erotic
fucking
fiction.
off topic.
Yeah.
Half an hour.
I thought we were talking about the girls we like, and we're
This is
talking
all
about...
relevant.
Well, Devu just started saying something about erotic fiction, and I want to hear about it.
Okay.
Yeah, when I write it for myself, a lot of the times it'll just end with the main character being.
Whoa. Where can I read your erotic fiction?
Let's get some links going.
You have
in
to
the
boost your
description.
Patreon to me, all right? Now,
Wrecked.
that'll be a tier. So a lot of the time I end when I do finish them, the self-insert main character ends up
When you
totally
finish.
destroyed for his actions and punished. And when I first
What?
went through puberty, half of my fantasies ended up badly as I was logically thinking them through. It's like, well, wait,
is
no,
that
he would
because
totally
you're
get-
self-punishing
I
for,
would-
you know, having lust in your heart?
No, it's
Was
just
that
me
the
trying
idea?
to think about the logical conclusion of what would happen here. I would start fapping, and then I'd think about the logic. I'm like, wait, no, I gotta spend another 5 minutes so that before this can make sense. Because if it doesn't make any sense in my mind, then it doesn't work, and I can't enjoy it. So yeah, that's the.
So, okay, so
the
hyper
line.
analytical.
What would destroy them? What would destroy your main characters in the end?
Is it treating them like real people? Like, if you were with them, this would happen and this would happen and it wouldn't work out?
I want to know specifically what caused their downfall.
Is it Jesus?
I can summarize a censored version of one. Okay. Of a story I conceived of, and I wanted to even like draw it all, but I'm a terrible artist. So basically, there's this guy who's me, basically with a different name, and he finds out about this academy that happens to be a thing that he is really attracted to, but it's not something that people think is a thing you can be attracted to.
All right, come on, let's truncate this a little bit.
And so then he signs up there, and he enjoys it, but no one else knows he knows it. But then eventually they realize that some people like it, and so they shut down the whole academy, and it's probably his fault, and he's sad. And that would be the conclusion of it.
Why did it shut down? Because he enjoyed it?
Because they realized that he was into it.
That that they realized that some people were into it, they didn't know who, and that made it too messed up and weird, so they canceled the whole thing and no one got to have the academy anymore.
Well, why do they shut down schools? Because people like them.
You know
Isn't
what?
that the opposite?
I don't think we need to actually break down all the logic of Davin's fucking fanfiction.
That's fair.
Okay. I just wanted like to understand what sort of downfall and like self-destruction we were talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So, all right, fuck it. Who's your fucking waifus? Top waifus.
I was gonna say we end on that, but let's just do it now. You go first, Digi.
Well, we're already an hour deep, so.
50 minutes. That's 10 minutes. That's a sixth of our runtime.
We've been going for like 40 minutes since the actual start.
I see 55.
It's been like 50
on
minutes
my,
or so.
Audacity.
Okay, let's go. I'm going first. You can look at my channel banner and see all my waifus, but my number one will always be Nico Robin from One Piece.
All right, fair enough.
Yep.
Yeah, I've also got some of mine in my channel banner too, though not all of them. Lately, I've, again, been really into I Can't Understand What My Husband Is Saying, just because the character is so literally what I want out of a woman.
Did that get a season 2?
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta watch that.
That is the character in all of fiction who I've like looked at and been like, oh my god, this is actually someone I'd want to marry. Like,
sure.
Not just someone I'm like attracted to for this or that reason, but like her personality and the way she acts. I was like, like if this was a real girl and I was in a relationship with her, I think I'd actually be happy with it. Aside from that, I just generally like I like small girls who are usually sort of lolly, but not actually lolly. Like they're actually
the 1,000-year-old
older.
Dragon little girl.
Yeah, or just like Komoe Sensei, who again is like
Yeah.
40-ish, but she looks like a kid. Or what the fuck? Recent waifu that I just discovered from BlazBlue is Kokonoe, who's like this.
Right.
She's this little she's not even really
She's
lolly,
not that
just a
little.
really small woman,
Yeah.
But she's got pink hair, she's got glasses, she's got a lollipop in her mouth, which just kind of looks like a cigarette, so good enough.
She's got cat ears.
She drinks, she eats a lot. I'm also into, I don't know why, but whenever there's like a girl character who eats constantly, I always think that's great.
She looks a lot like Neanders now that I think about it.
She eats a lot. She rides a scooter. One of her attacks has her ride a scooter, and she's like deadpan and kind of like snarky, and she's a scientist.
I didn't realize
and
this was going to be
she invents
describing all
things.
our best attributes of our waifus.
I'm just saying she's like,
Okay.
This woman represents like every single like thing that I like, other than being like, it has to be either blonde or pink hair, but other than that, like she has everything I could want out of a waifu. So I think
brunettes
she's like,
do not apply.
yeah,
Not wanted.
I think if it's like going by just like aesthetic waifu-ness, like I just like this character because they meet this, and this criteria on like a checklist, Kokonoe would be
Sure.
like the ultimate waifu for me. But yeah, so continuing to whoever wants.
Okay, Jesse, how about you?
Oh boy. Well, I jotted down some names just so that I could keep track of them. There's so many. These are the waifus that I remembered instantly, jumped right to my mind. Tifa, Marceline, Tally, Raven, Fluttershy, Asuka, Misato, Noodle, and Helga G. Pataki. And that's all of them that matter.
All right, cool.
And I don't know, there's not really like a common thread. I mean, I could tell you why I like each of them individually, but I can't really look at the whole of them and be like, well, this is what I value in a woman. I think it goes a bit deeper than that.
I'm like you. Mine are pretty
eclectic.
Eclectic, yeah, that's a good word for it.
They're all
they're
beautiful in their own way.
Mine have such a clear logical through line that I think anybody could figure out what I like. And most of it applies to real women as well, so.
Sure. Filthy 3D pigs. How about Ben? You got anyone you wanna?
I'm trying to think of characters. I mean, there's lots of female characters I like, and there's lots of female characters that embody traits that I find attractive.
Yeah.
But I can't really I can't really think of anyone who I'm like, oh, I wish I would date her, or like she represents my ideal woman or anything like that.
Just close your eyes.
What
and
about
listen to your
Haruka
heart.
from Fooly Cooly? We were both pretty into her.
No, she's cool, but I'm not that attracted to her.
Yeah, all right.
If you read in my comic, if you read the first chapter, the girl on the beanbag was designed with like what I find like visually attractive in mind, so I guess that you could look to
so
see
just
my
literally
waifu.
Susie from Game Grumps.
Whatever.
That's what she looks like.
But yeah, I know she doesn't have any personality or anything, so it doesn't really. Tell
Yeah,
you
women
much,
don't have
but
personality in Ben's fantasies. The ideal
doesn't-
woman has no personality.
She has like no lines.
I would totally date Mamimi from FLCL because she's broken and terrible, and I love that.
I would rather date Nina Mori from FLCL.
I thought
Nina
of her,
Mori's-
but she's kind
Nina
of
Mori is the
gross.
best.
Nina Mori's just kind of a child.
That's a good point.
She's a child to you. She's a woman to me, Digi.
I am a big fan of
I'll make
broken
her
and
a woman.
terrible.
Yeah,
That's
Mamimi
something.
is-
That's definitely something I look for in a character.
I like it when a girl is broken and terrible in just such a way that it's not quite your problem, but you can make it your problem.
But dude, that's exactly what Nina Mori is. And she has that. Oh god, when she's wearing those
She's
pajamas with Naota. Holy shit, that's the sexiest scene in all of animation.
I did in fact
Whatever.
as a child because like it's funny. I have a much harder time finding it attractive now because I cannot like.
Not me,
they
dog.
They're very like. Well, the characters in that show are just very young to me. We're like part of the narrative.
I
is
feel
that
like
they
I
are-
am them when I watch it. I don't know.
Well, I mean, when I was younger, I kind of didn't understand FLCL as much, so like I
Yeah,
think I
sure.
only really understood it at an age where I couldn't relate to it as much.
Yeah.
But like when I was young, that Nina Mori scene was like, oh my god, this is I literally did for years call that the hottest scene in animation.
Right?
Just the way
Dude.
that the
Well, you know,
pajamas don't quite
when
fit
I think
her
about
and
stuff,
everything. But
when I think about like lollies and stuff, I kind of think of like this quote from it's like Tuesdays with Morty or something. It's some book about an old guy, and he gives the speech about how like he's every age, and like he enjoys
Yeah,
like
that's-
putting himself in the position of like any age in his whole life when it's appropriate.
I've
and that's
heard
how I
that
feel
as
when I
a-
appreciate like Nia from Gurren Lagann or Nina Mori, who are
well,
like
when it
14.
comes to anime, like I had a friend who was saying like, you know, like I don't think it's weird to be attracted because most anime characters are high school age, and he was
Yeah,
like,
right.
He's like, it's not really weird to be attracted to high schoolers because I remember that when I was in high school, I was attracted to these girls. You
Right,
know? And,
I totally agree.
I mean, your tastes can change, but you can also put yourself into that mindset. And like,
Yeah.
I don't know, I find it harder to be attracted to anime characters who actually act their age. But if I can like,
depends.
If they're characters who like, you know, who like are younger but they act like adults, then in my mind it's like they're not like, you know, the numbers
Right, I mean,
are something the
they're
animators
fucking drawing,
tacked
so
onto
however
it,
they
you know?
act is going to dictate,
Dude.
you know.
Right.
Best waifu, Angelica Pickles. I know she's
Oh,
3
yeah.
years old, but, you know, but when I'm watching the show, I feel like I'm Tommy. I feel like I'm 1, so she's an older
Man,
woman.
get the
so
fuck
it's
out of here.
fine.
That's what all grown up was for, so that we could finally fuck her. That was the goal.
All grown up
Oh,
when
sorry,
she
that was too
became
loud.
11, so we can finally.
Play ball. Shall we move on to the next person?
Yeah.
Who wants to go next?
Me, my
Who does?
one of my favorite girls from this year was the main character of a game called Mecha Nika. Her name is Nika, not to be confused with some comic called Nika. I love her because she goes out of her way to be as spiteful as I can be, and her rationalization for hating things is as in-depth and insane as it is with me, so I find that extremely relatable. I
Okay.
don't think a relationship with her would work at all, but I find that very captivating personally. Number 2 is Maya Fey from the Phoenix Wright games, because I think she is the ultimate in what I'd want from maturity from a woman, because she goes through so many terrible things, but she always acts like it's not getting to her, and she's really funny and fun to be around all the time. And
Sure.
my number 1 woman is Adeline from the Kirby games, that one from the Nintendo 64. Haven't even
Oh,
played
dude,
it.
what?
I've just,
Okay,
I've-
that's just random is all. Okay, okay.
I only know her from fan art and from watching Digibro playing
from our
it.
Let's Play.
Yeah.
Deville
Lol.
like literally commented on like one of the first episodes of the Kirby 64 Let's Play, like, oh my god, how have I never seen this character before? I'm in love with her. And then like
amazing.
over the next few days, like he was commenting about being deeper and deeper down
She's,
the rabbit
like,
hole.
How do you spell her name? I'm trying to
I
write it.
still can't remember. But the
Okay.
point is,
Adeleine.
good job.
Wait, I didn't say that again.
Adeline. Just
Oh,
sound it out.
Adeline. Okay, I got
She's
it.
super passionate about drawing, and she will go to an alternate dimension just to study, and she will go along and like not talk much, so I could probably just talk to her constantly, and she would just smile and listen and stuff, and that'd be great. And
This fan art's pretty cute.
She just seems so passionate about what she does, and she's so good at it. She can make her paintings come to life.
Being passionate is a very attractive quality.
When she gets corrupted
Yeah, I
by
agree.
a demon in the beginning, she draws something that's censored out, so she could probably draw porn.
Oh, dude, you know that
And-
was a dick. Yeah.
and she has a really great tomboyish affect with being short-haired, but she's got a skirt which conflicts with that, and that's adorable.
That
So
is
yeah.
adorable. Okay. All
I
right.
actually don't agree that being passionate is an attractive quality.
That's because you want your women to have no personality. We established that.
I would kind of feel I would be annoyed by a girl who wanted me to be into whatever she was into. I would rather one who
No,
was just
I-
willing
Ben,
to go
no.
along
It's not how
Ben,
it works.
I was just
I-
willing to go along with whatever I
Someone
liked.
with a path in life, with
Yeah,
a mission.
I
Yeah.
think I find passion attractive not out of wanting them to be into like I don't want necessarily that they're into what I'm into or I'm into what they're into.
Yeah.
Like I do find it annoying if a girl was like, you have to be into this because I'm into this.
Of
What I
course.
do like, however, is that I think the people who can best understand passionate people are other passionate people.
Totally.
Where like the last girlfriend I had, she did not understand art at all. No understanding of artists, the artistic process, or passion. She had no drive for anything, no passion.
Yeah,
and
it's
it was
gonna get
really,
frustrating.
really difficult to communicate why I would want to do certain things or feel certain ways about things. It was impossible for her to understand.
And it's pretty bad when you're
you know?
trying to do something and this person demands your time for whatever
Right.
reason,
I
and then
think
you're like, no,
someone-
I have to do this. This is my thing.
I think if I dated another artist, we would both spend a lot of time dedicating ourselves to our art. And to me,
Right.
the ideal relationship is not one where you're fucking on each other's nuts all the time. It's
Yeah.
more one where you both are sort of... Jesus, fucking loud-ass motorcycle. You're both sort of doing your own thing and progressing in life and having this, like, narrative,
Yeah,
but you're
yeah.
also supporting each other on the side and just sort of, you know, having each other around. Not so much that your life is based on the other person, but that each of you has your own life that just happens to be connected, you know?
Right.
Here's
Yeah,
Which I
here's
think is
another
how
thing
that
all of our
Here's another-
friendships are, you know?
Pretty
like,
much,
all
that's
of us
exactly
are-
how it is.
probably nobody else will agree with, but if I think in a girlfriend, I would actually prefer her not to understand me, and to just sort of be kind of mystified by me, but in a way that she likes.
Well,
Ben, why do you hate women
Ben,
so much?
I think you would. I think you want that until you have it, because that's exactly what I had. My ex-girlfriend was very mystified with everything I did and very like intrigued, but the lack of understanding of why I do anything I do became a huge hurdle. Where it's like she cannot understand why it would take me an amount of time. Like this is how she would always phrase it about videos coming out. She said, "As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't exist until it shows up in front of me." You know.
Well, that's
And
how
it's
the
like-
viewership is
What a
like. So she's a
piece
total
of
viewer as
shit.
opposed to a creator herself.
Right. She's never made anything in her life. She has
Okay.
no creative spark whatsoever. And
I see.
I think it was so difficult for her
That is
to
rough.
comprehend
Yeah,
how
yeah.
how or why I would make things, or like what the process was, or where I came from when I was doing it. She had no comprehension.
I
of
can't
that,
even
and
be
it was
friends with
really
someone
rough.
with no artistic spark. Like everyone
Yeah, I
has
Yeah,
fucking hate
yeah,
people
I'm
with no
the same.
artistic spark. Fuck them.
Digi and I have had this conversation before where I sort of view non-creative people as not human.
This podcast
I
has
would
so
agree
many
with that
callbacks to the
completely.
very
I'd say
first
that's an
Digibro
essential
Just
part of
Wood
being human,
podcast.
having
Yeah.
a creative drive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Mage, who are your waifus?
Gosh, I have many, but let's.
If you care to share,
yeah,
you don't have
yeah,
to.
I'll say a few. Well, Papyrus is already stated. It's
Mm-hmm.
adorable cinnamon roll, precious, innocent.
All right.
There's he's just so adorable with his. Anywho, moving on.
with his googly eyes.
His googly eyes, yes, and his passion.
Real quick,
he's very
Mage,
passionate.
What
Yeah.
kind of voice do you think Papyrus should have? Because
Does
we
it sound
were
like
arguing
this?
about this.
He has he does not have a Skeletor voice.
Wait,
Sounds
let her
totally-
answer, damn it. I want to
he
hear her
sounds totally-
opinion.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were asking.
No, I want Mage's opinion.
Oh, okay.
I've already heard your fucking
Yeah,
opinion. We
yeah.
argued
You're
about
right.
this. That's why I want her
Excuse me.
input.
Excuse me.
I honestly, I don't mind either. The first time I heard someone voice Papyrus, they had like this rather lowish sort of voice. They were sort of mimicking one character. I wish I knew what character it was from movies, but and so they had a low voice for him, I think it fit pretty well. But then I heard someone try something similar to a Skeletor, and that also fit pretty well. I was like, oh, okay, those both
Yeah, all right.
can
Man,
work.
Prefer the Skeletor.
We have got to have a podcast discussion about the
Papyrus'
god-awful
voice.
voices that everyone has for Undertale characters. All the fan art, all the Undertale fan stuff is shit. It makes me sick to my stomach.
I like the
Not
fan
yours,
version.
Mage.
Uh-oh.
Mage's is great.
I like the fan version
You,
stronger than
Jesse,
yours.
you like the stupid skeleton.
Okay, no, wait, no.
It's true.
I think that he clearly has a Skeletor voice. I mean, come on, it's obvious.
think-
That doesn't necessarily mean that I
I
prefer
think
it.
the fact that he
Okay.
says "yeah" is
Yeah,
what makes it Skeletor
exactly.
to me.
But
Because
Also,
yes,
I think it's meant to be sort of obnoxious. He does speak in
Yeah.
all capitals, and like the text noise he makes when
papyrus
he
font.
speaks.
And he does have a very sort of that highfalutin, like, kind of personality
all right.
to him.
This isn't the Papyrus
No,
Voice
I want to talk
podcast.
about
This is the
Papyrus,
Waifu
damn it.
podcast.
I want to talk about video games.
We're done with
let's
that.
just
All
let
right.
Mage
Papyrus best
continue with her
waifu.
waifu
Go
list.
on, Mage. Continue
Yeah,
your
name
list.
some others.
Okay, so from Assassination Classroom, Karma. If anyone knows that,
Which one's
redhead,
that?
Yeah.
redhead,
He's
psycho,
the badass.
Oh, the bad.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
super smart, full of himself guy. That's really good at
Basically,
everything.
Sasuke.
The
No.
last episode I saw was the one where he shows up.
Yeah, we should continue watching that. But and he's
Yeah, I'd watch more of that.
he's good. He's a good character. I like him a lot. He's such a little shit.
Anyone else near and dear to your heart?
Genos from One Punch Man. He's
sure.
he's
moe.
such a good wife.
He's a pretty good fuckboy. There's no doubt about it.
He's pretty moe in the way that he completely fails at
In everything,
in
yeah.
spite of being amazing.
It's endearing, though. It's quite endearing about that.
He's
I like
just precious, and he's like the way he's devoted to Sensei to the borderline creepy. It's just hilarious.
I really need to watch the anime.
You sure
How
do.
did-
It's
how
great.
do you
Pretty
not have
good.
watched it yet?
I've read the manga.
Well, I did too, but at first I thought it was whatever. Who cares what I think? Let's move on. Tom, waifus. What do you got for us?
I've been thinking about this the entire time because I guess like rarity seems like the obvious answer, but like so much
Sure.
of my like rarity bias that I put out there was like influenced by the audience like observing that I had it, so I would like
I see.
magnify it for the sake of
I've been there.
entertainment. And then it just kind of spiraled out of control.
Right.
But I guess a character I would say definitely became like waifu tier status was probably Tali from Mass Effect. I really liked her.
Sure, that's a good one.
Oh, she is definitely. I'm surprised that wasn't on Jesse's waifu list.
It was on my
It was,
list.
I think.
said it.
It was.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm stealing
She
your
said it
waifu,
quick, so-
Jesse. Tali was fucking awesome.
Nah, the great thing is when we can all come together and appreciate truly top tier waifus.
Yeah, I think we all have a couple that we share amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know if anyone shares any of mine.
I don't know anyone who shares any of mine.
I think mine are from too obscure of shows. For
I don't
you
think
guys
I'd be able to
have
deal with
shared
women who
them.
smoke. I just don't think I'd be able to deal with smoke.
That's true. I don't care for. Did you like smoking girls though? For whatever reason.
Digi, I do
Smoking
really
is
like
fucking
the-
cool. That's why.
Well,
I do think the girl
do it in
from
an
I Can't
airlocked
Understand
room.
What My Husband Is Saying is very like attractive, but
Right.
I don't know. I'm just
I-
I guess I'm just not into the show.
I think I could
enough.
probably pull some waifus that I would share with people if I went like beyond the like top 5 ones that I like always think about. You know,
like Kiruno, your favorite girl of all time from everyone's favorite
Kirito
anime
is
of
not
all
a
time.
waifu of mine.
Or emo. That's
She's
the
just,
best show.
She's just my favorite main in a fighting game.
I'd like to change all my waifus to just her because she is the best.
Hey guys, I have an
And that's
idea
it.
about how we can, speaking of male waifus, I think I know how we can become male waifus for a lot of women and gay
Yeah?
men
Oh,
listening.
How's that?
In this podcast is by talking like
we want
suggest
this?
like potentially flirtily to Mage, so that any women who can put themselves
Please
in her
don't.
shoes.
Okay, right.
And
And
then
on that note,
visualize
thanks for
us
watching,
at
everybody.
them.
That's the
Wait, we
Procrastinators
didn't ask
podcast
Hippo about
for
his
this week.
waifus, Nate. We haven't
Wait,
even
who-
gotten
who
to
didn't
Hippo
go?
yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Gib, please.
Vriska is my favorite because
Mm-hmm.
she's the Walter White of Homestuck. She did nothing wrong, and anybody who thinks she did doesn't understand.
Yeah.
I love how
Shield
this is,
Stavros,
this is
he
making a
asked for
statement
it.
about both stories, like both Walter White and
Yeah.
Vriska. You're
Yeah, that's
declaring
true.
that they did nothing wrong.
Vriska is way less morally ambiguous than Walter White. Walter White did way worse.
Now,
Way more wrong
now,
than
see,
Vriska
just
did.
a minute here. He most certainly did not. Walter
All
was
right, go
right.
on. Who else you got? Let's not get into this.
It's basically just any character that starts off as a bitch and sometimes just ends as a bitch and is a female.
Kirito. That's Kirito. You've described Kirito.
Okay, maybe I like her. I don't know.
I don't think he'd like Kirito. I don't think she's the right kind of bitch.
Well, they have to
she
be.
fits
They
this
have
criteria you just specified.
They have to be sort of. Basically everything that
Cool?
I'm not.
They have to actually be cool.
They have to be confident and
Dude,
arrogant.
Kirito's a model. She's super cool. She loves video games. So
she
cool.
She loses out on the actual okay. Compare her to fucking Vriska. Vriska's actually cool. She does cool things in the
she's
narrative.
no Kirito. She's no Kirito. She's the best.
Didn't Vriska get one of the biggest wham moments in the story? It was she executed a plan and someone achieved God tier as a result, and it was
well, she achieved God tier, but
she was a little too cool by that point.
Here's the thing about bitches, and going back to analytical logic, people who are jerks ignore 99.9% of the world. Women who would give bitchy attention to certain guys doesn't make sense. So my fantasy of a bitch would be one who somehow needs some skill that I have.
Needs some she needs you to teach her.
She hates you, but she has to keep you around because of a skill you have.
Sure,
or that
does make sense.
That she just can't. That she just
basically
needs in her
you
life.
have. Basically, she's a nymphomaniac, and you have the greatest dick in the world, and she cannot settle for anything less. Even though she hates
Hang
your
on.
personality.
What you just described, Davu, holding out a resource to make a woman have a relationship with you, that's what they call rape, and that's what they call patriarchy. I don't want to hear any more of
it
this
is very
talk,
coercive.
No, I'm thinking more like she hates the world, but she has to make YouTube videos proclaiming it, and she needs someone to edit them, and so,
Stop taking advantage of you fucking rapist.
And she can only pick you, who she hates, as opposed to anyone else.
Are you saying that if Digi was a girl, he'd be your waifu?
Guys.
Yeah.
What Davu described, isn't that Kirino?
I don't know.
It's all Kirino. She's the best waifu. We can all agree on that. Okay, and on that, it feels like we've run out of steam. Let's wrap this thing up. Anyone got any last-minute things to say they want to say about waifus? Because that's what this was about, waifus. Have we come to a consensus?
Akane is my
I just want
waifu.
to say, fellas, don't make tulpas of your waifus.
Please.
I'm going to go and make a tulpa right now.
No, you can never.
That's a risky game. What if you can't get rid of it?
If you're thinking about making a tulpa of your waifu, bear in mind that everything she thinks is actually things you're thinking, and you're really fucking yourself.
Yo, you're wrong.
Even if you can somehow summon the force of will to untulpa yourself, that's murder.
That's true. That's true. You're losing that game, coming and going.
If you create life, you're responsible for it. No matter how real or fake it is.
Amen. Amen. All right. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. That's it for this week. If you got any topics you want to suggest, put them in the comments down below, and we'll add them to our topic list.
Unless they
all right,
suck.
everybody say goodbye. Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.